We've already been informed that one of the many things that Dragon Ball Xenoverse 3 is going to work on improving is the netcode, because as you guys would know if you've been playing Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 at any point in time, you know the netcode of this game has never really been the best, but it's become even worse to a point where the game is actually genuinely unplayable now. So I wanted to give you a quick look back through Xenoverse 2's netcode history, showing you exactly the moment when it got supremely worse, and also pointing out how Dragon Ball Xenoverse 3, if it has anything like how Xenoverse 2 had at launch day, then we're going to be getting the new best Dragon Ball Online PvP ever. It's gonna be so hype. Hello everyone, it's me again, Stedoji here, back some more Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 to 3, and I wanted to tell you more about, hey, since Xenoverse 3 has already said that they're actually going to improve the netcode, and I think it's very big that they actually mentioned this first off, because Xenoverse 2, I feel like, don't get me wrong, the game still gets lots of attention, obviously. The fact that they're making a sequel is a good idea of how much attention the game gets, but when it comes to the online aspects, when it comes to the balancing of the game, when it comes to the netcode, that's entirely abandoned. They don't even give like half a crap about any of that when it comes to the game's balance online anymore. They don't even do patch notes anymore for when they adjust skills. They do adjust skills, it's just that they barely do any, maybe like 1 or 2 every DLC now, and they also don't give us patch notes, so we have to just experiment and just hope to God we find out what they've actually changed from like free updates to DLCs nowadays. But before they actually used to tell us, it's just now that Xenoverse 2's connection is at a point where even the people who make the game don't even care. So the netcode's horrible, the game's online balance is horrible, all of that's in a pretty rough state. And I'm actually going to show you a mix of gameplay in the background. You're going to be seeing a mix of Xenoverse 2 gameplay, basically way before we even get like all the newer stuff. Like all of this gameplay is probably going to be like DLC 6, like max. I just picked a bunch of gameplays and all the videos that were like pre-DLC 6. And I'm going to compare them to the way the game is now. Before the less DLCs the game had, the less BS this game had too, bro. If you hit people in this game, you just hit them. People were not hitting you from millions of miles away. Now, don't get me wrong. A lot of lag netcode issues that happen today still could happen back here. The only difference was that was the pinnacle of lag back here. People sniping you from a million miles away, people getting nonsense BS perfect blocks just by mashing the button and aggressively moving like in your direction or away from your direction. You know what? You know how people mash perfect blocks in this game, right? You guys know, I mean, I don't have to explain it, but we had all of these issues before in the game. You could only like achieve this much like nonsense if the game was in a really, really like rough state, or if that match was like just really poor connection. But now Xenoverse 2 is in such a rough position that videos like Perfect Block King, for any of you old heads who remember the Perfect Block King videos, if those two guys are playing the game right now, they'd be winning these matches. They wouldn't just look like idiots who are mashing Perfect Block and getting punished because you shouldn't be rewarded for mashing a button and thinking that the game should just fall entirely into your favor. You would just lose. That used to happen, but not anymore. So that is pretty tragic, but obviously it's kind of a thing that happens when the game systems get so loaded. Now, I will start off by saying Xenoverse 2 servers always, and I'm sure a lot of you guys remember, Xenoverse 2 servers always specifically used to fall apart exactly when events were going on. For example, if we had a tournament or a raid mission going on, usually at the start or at the exit of those, like entering and leaving the game. The game servers especially would just be really rough. If you just do a PvP online match, if you just do parallel quests online, if you just do anything online, even the exact events and those raid missions, the lag was just really, really horrible. That used to be when events were around, and I'm assuming the big reason why is because it was a massive asset that was obviously just in the game, whether it be a ginormous raid ball, or it was all the confetti and the new menus and game mode screens and all of this. Like, you guys know the tournament background screen is that like super special decorated one. And honestly, if that screen is so fire, I wish we could kind of just equip that whenever, but that's besides the point. When they would add these features to the game would chug like crazy, probably because, you know, trying to add more to the game or supporting the game, or even just adding more to the main area of Conton City probably just chugs the rest of the game. And I think one of the best examples is that when they added the Hero Coliseum, you could actually notice this dip happen quite a bit, and that was added at the same time we got UI Goku and Jiren, which I think was the first major lag spike of the game, or the first like big issue of the game. Now that's a lie, actually. I think the biggest lag we had in the game before that was DLC 5. I do remember specifically around the time of a Deborah tournament going on, there was like, the game was like chugging, like it was horrible, man. It was disgusting. It's not as bad as it is now, but it was horrible. And then after that, we got the, you know, Hero Coliseum, which made the game, you know, a bit more rough because it added a bunch of new menus and animations and effects and models to the game that didn't need to be there. Like, you know, all the Hero Coliseum animations and stuff, all of the text boxes, screens, all of the unique stuff, right? The game wasn't supposed to have all that, like, junk in the trunk, but now it does have all that junk in the trunk. And it chugged the game down a lot. And then I think the ultimate final form of this was finally getting the Conton City TV. The Conton City TV is a gigantic asset that sits in Conton City. It's bigger than most of the locales in Conton City, and it has moving videos playing on a screen. That, like, who asked for all that? Who asked for that? Who wants that in the game? Who is so bored that they're gonna go over to Conton City TV and watch all of those movies? And by the way, those movies are probably lagging like hell because the game is lagging like hell. Like, if you really wanted to watch that in a multi-lobby, that ginormous, like, battle stage platform, bro, I'm not even kidding. I think Conton City TV Stadium is bigger than the actual, like, World Martial Arts Tournament in the game. It's bigger than a lot of actual playable, like, fight stages in the game, and that's just so disgusting, man, because it really don't need to be that big, but it just is that big, and now we all gotta suffer for it, you know, and I think that just sucks. That's just not very cool. Conton City TV, I've always said this, I think the TV should actually just disappear when there's nothing being shown on it. A good example is that they haven't used it in ages, so please just remove it, get rid of it. Get rid of that. I don't want it there anymore. So it's choking the game. It's killing the game. I mean, this isn't even taking into account how we have a bunch of other stuff that kills the game. For example, is you got way more parallel quests in the game than the game was supposed to originally have. You have way more characters in the game that the game was supposed to originally have. Way more supers, way more super souls, way more items, way more costumes, even colorable costumes that were never, you know, colorable beforehand. You got custom partners too. You got all of these other new things. All of that's obviously, like, you know, kind of choking the game down a lot more, because again, I want to remind you, Xenoverse 2 is a 2016 game that was probably supposed to end its service around the time of DLC 6 coming out, because, you know, Tournament of Power, UI Goku, blah 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 blah, and then obviously they milked the game a bit further and we're like, oh, we can make a sequel, and we plan to release the sequel by like 2022 or something. So we'll have Xenoverse 2 announce during the Supreme Kai Time DLC, or the Marjube DLC. It was the Marjube DLC. You know, the game Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 is over, baby. It's done. And then they were like, okay, now we'll get Xenoverse 3 out by 2022, which obviously didn't happen because, you know, they realized how much money Xenoverse was making. Not only could they delay the sequel, which gives them more time to put actual paid DLC in the game so they can make even more money, but it also obviously lets them make the next game even better. Now, obviously, how good is Xenoverse 3 going to be? I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt and say it's going to be better than Xenoverse 2 and better than Sparking Zero. The main reason why is because Xenoverse 2, admittedly, I'm going to say this, it might be a hot take, Xenoverse 2 when it first came out felt way better than Sparking Zero when it first came out. Xenoverse 2 was also far better than Xenoverse 1. So it's unrealistic to say that Xenoverse 3 would be worse than Xenoverse 2, and it's also kind of hard to be worse than Sparking Zero, not because Sparking Zero is like a horrible, like crappy game, but because Sparking Zero just had so little stuff to do. The only thing to do in Sparking Zero literally is just 1v1 action. Wherever you're in a story mode, it's just 1v1 action. Parallel quest, well, there's no parallel quest. There wasn't even a mission 100 when that game came out. Bro, all we had was custom battle, and the custom battles are just the same boring things over and over and over again. So it really was just 1v1 battles, 1v1 battles, 1v1 battles, sometimes maybe team battles, but like no one ever does team battles. No one even does the tournament mode. Go on Sparking Zero right now, go on the tournament mode and try and find an online tournament, whether you're on Xbox, PlayStation, or PC. See if you can find an online tournament, because I swear to God, you can't. That's really rough. That's really, really tragic, man. So yeah, when it comes to Xenoverse 3 overall, I do think that they'll be kicking Netcode up a notch. I'm pretty sure Bandai Namco is kind of aware that now we're in that kind of period of gaming where everyone plays their games as online as possible. Maybe because online, you know, games have just longer longevity overall. It's another reason why the Monster Hunter series does so well, because you can play that game solo, there's a bunch of content. But if you play online, it's literally just the same experience, but just with other human beings, which just always makes it way more enjoyable. And I'm sure they're going to aim for something close to that when they make Xenoverse 3. Because again, Xenoverse 2 did do a lot of these online things, you know, raids, parallel quests, the crystal raids as well, the dual crystal raids. The Xenoverse does its best to try and experiment by having as many human beings possible enjoy the same experience altogether. And I won't lie, Expo missions when the game first came out were mad fun. Pushing raid like key blasts all together as like a big team, that was so hype, man. I felt like a DBZ movie. So Xenoverse 3 hopefully will capture the same thing, and hopefully with an infinitely better netcode, because again, if you see the netcode for games like Dragon Ball FighterZ, hell, yes, even you, Dragon Ball The Breakers, and Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, Xenoverse 2's netcode is horrible. It's nightmarishly bad compared to all the other. I want to remind you guys, Breakers is going to die in like a few months. Like, I'm not even kidding. Before your next birthday, Breakers probably won't even be playable anymore. And that game has better netcode than Xenoverse 2 does right now. Xenoverse 2 was not supposed to have this much content in it. It was not supposed to be like this big and have all of this stuff in it. And because the game is chugging like crazy. So there's pretty much no ways the same thing happens in Xenoverse 3. The bare minimum is that Xenoverse 3 suffers this same fate, maybe like 4 years after the game comes out, when it also has like way too much content in it. But I imagine it won't be as bad as Xenoverse 2, because they've learned from Xenoverse 2. Now they're like, oh, our games can chug if they have too much content. We'll just do better next time, you know. So I think that's a good place to end the video. This video ends up being kind of a rant, kind of a ramble, but I hope I made my points very clear when it came to, you know, Xenoverse 3's netcode compared to Xenoverse 2's. Xenoverse 2's netcode is not supposed to be as bad as it is. The game does get a lot of flack for its lag, but it shouldn't even be this bad. It's only this bad because the game is such a colossal success. It has way more content than it ever should, and it doesn't have a dev team that's trying to optimize the content or, you know, make the game like survive in it. The game's kind of just choking. It doesn't even have like a glass of water or milk to help wash it down. It's just choking, and we're just watching him choke just right there on the dinner table. But I think that's a great place to end the video. I do hope you guys enjoyed, and if you did, then obviously again, please leave a like in the video. Don't forget to subscribe as it greatly supports the channel, and leave a comment down below as to what you'd like to see next, fellas. I do love you all. I hope you all enjoyed, gang, and I will see you all next time. Take care, and peace, peace, peace. Bye, bye.